Discuss between the major differences of classical and operant conditioning. The first one, the classical conditioning has been given by Ivan Pavlov and the operant conditioning is to be given by B.F. Skinner. Another thing, the major difference lies in classical conditioning that learning takes place through association between a neutral stimulus and a natural response. Here, the neutral stimulus is the sound of the bell and a natural response is the secretion of salivation. In comparison to operant conditioning, here the learning takes place through consequences, either through reward or through punishment that is to be followed by a behavior. Next, in classical conditioning, the actions are involuntary. They are going to come automatically. For example, if you are hungry and you are going to have a sight of the food or the smell of the food, so there will be a secretion of salivation. So it will be an involuntary action or response. But in comparison to the operant conditioning, there is a voluntary behavior, as the lever will be pressed by the rat, only then the rat is going to receive the food pellet. So association in classical conditioning lies between a stimulus and a response, or we can also call it as a SS learning. But in contrast to the operant conditioning, where the association lies between the behavior and the consequence. Now consequences over here means the outcomes, and it is also to be considered as a SR learning, stimulus response learning. Now the responses in classical conditioning will be very reflexive in nature. That means they will be going to come automatically. Thus there will be secretion of saliva, that is a natural response. But here in operant conditioning, it will be goal directed, which means that the lever is to be pressed by the rat, only then the rat is going to receive the food pellet. So intentionally, or there is a goal for which the rat is going to press the lever to get the response. Example of classical conditioning clearly says the Pavlov's experiment, where the dog salivates when hearing the bell. That means as the bell is going to ring, or the sound of the bell, the dog is going to salivate. That is going to elicit the occurrence of the food. Next, in operant conditioning, the rat presses the lever to get the food pellet, or there can be avoidance. Next one is reinforcement. Now, how the reinforcement is to be applied in classical conditioning, where it says that it occurs when conditioned stimulus no longer paired with the unconditioned stimulus. So the conditioned stimulus over here is not to be paired with the unconditioned stimulus. But in contrast to the operant conditioning, which says where reinforcement is to be used to strengthen the behavior, either it can be a negative or a positive reinforcement, and punishment can be used where we are going to weaken up the behavior. So weakening the behavior is to be worked upon with the usage of punishment, and strengthening the behavior is to be worked with positive and negative reinforcement.